It is a huge problem that's making headlines across the country, and Indiana and Ohio are no exception. Heroin is ruining lives, devastating families, and tearing communities apart. It's become so bad in Allen County that leaders have formed a task force. Just last week, a federal proposal called for more than $1.1 billion to address the issue. And Indiana's Attorney General has awarded $127,000 to first responders so they can now carry Narcan, a fast-acting antidote to overdoses. News Channel 15 has been looking into this problem, and we've gathered some pretty staggering statistics. For example, take a look at this graph. Three Rivers Ambulance Authority administered Narcan, that drug that reverses the effects of heroin, 178 times back in 2010. By last year, that number jumped to 322 times, an 87% increase. Those numbers and others that you'll find posted on Wayne.com show you the scope and magnitude of addiction, but they don't reveal the heartbreak. Tonight, a Fort Wayne family opens up about the struggles they've faced as the problem reaches epidemic proportions.
He overdosed February 12th. At that point, I think we really saw the magnitude of what was going on. Xanax, vodka, marijuana, and spice.
He was high and drunk, under the influence of prescription drugs and synthetic pot, and near death. Derek Mutzfeld was just 17 years old.
That was the first day we met.
When Michelle Merritt fell in love with Jason Mutzfeld, she also fell in love with his son.
This was the first picture that anyone ever snapped of us as a family.
He moved in with them from out of state, started attending a private school in Fort Wayne, and seemed to be adjusting just fine.
He did come to us and say, I have a problem with alcohol. So we took all the alcohol out of the house, got into AA, got him a sponsor. We thought we were doing good.
But it wasn't long before Jason and Michelle noticed more.
One day he came home, he was incredibly energetic. We now know that was Vyvanse, that was an ADHD med. One day he came home, he was incredibly red-eyed and kind of out of it. It was obviously pot, but like so many parents, we thought, well, it's just pot. Well, now we know it's not just pot.
Again, they got him help, and for months, things seemed to be going better.
He fell off the wagon again in July, and we had an incident in September where he flatlined in the ER.
It was a sobering wake-up call that revealed just how bad the problem had become. They want to share their story, the tough lessons they've learned as parents, the heartbreak, in hopes of saving other lives, other families.
One thing that we always learned in our generation was we were taught, just say no to drugs because bad people are going to give your kids drugs. What we found was, and everyone needs to know this, it's not bad people who are necessarily going to be the ones who give your kids drugs. It's their friends. That's true of alcohol, marijuana, heroin, whatever it is. Stop saying it's going to be bad people, because it's not the bad people you have to watch out for. It's the good people sometimes.
And it's often good people who get sucked into the depths of addiction.
When this first happened, I realized that often, especially Hoosiers, we tend to think of this thing as a character flaw, and it's not. It is a disease. Alcoholism, a drug addiction, is a disease.
And I think a lot of families think, well, if we just keep it quiet and we keep it to ourselves, we'll figure it out on our own. And honestly, that's probably what we did in the beginning. We thought, oh, if he goes to AA, if we're good and we provide a good family and a good structure and good schools, that it will all work itself out. But no, it takes professional help. I wouldn't say we were going to work it all out on our own if it were cancer. So why would I do that now?
They sought help and encourage others to do the same. Michelle admits one of the hardest things she's had to do was give up some of her dreams for Derek.
It's where I learned you have to have the courage, especially as a father, this is very tough, to say to your son, you can't come home, you have to go to a shelter. And here's the address, good luck to you. Because you want to help your kid, but when you can't help your kid, and more specifically, you shouldn't help your kid, you take it a day at a time. So we can't look back, we can only look forward.
If you or someone you know is fighting drug addiction, there is help available. Go to this story on Wayne.com for a list of resources.